Moods and Modes. And the name is pretty interesting. Based on the name, what do you think this topic is about? Anyone?
You said modes and moods.
Yeah, Moods and Modes.
What causes us to have moods? What
Yeah,
causes us to
actually.
feel?
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Uh, so So we all have different natures, right? And we get, depending on the different context, we behave also differently. What are those? So that's what we'll be getting into, right? So, and it's a very good connection from the mind. So far, we have got into two concepts. The first concept was the consciousness, right? There's a soul. We are more than the body. The second concept was the mind. This is the third big concepts, and these concepts are very important to understand ourselves, who we are in a very scientific way. So let's start. I'll go and play the video. It's an 8-minute video. Oh, just hold on. I think I'm not sharing the sound. Just hold on. When I include sound.
Moods and modes. Why are some people by nature outgoing and talkative, while others are quiet and shy? Why are some people attracted to hot, spicy food, and others to sweet and juicy foods? Why do some people enjoy classical music, while others enjoy passionate rock music, and yet others enjoy both? What are the forces of nature that compel people to act the way they do? How do these forces work, and who is controlling them? We generally think that we're in control of our actions and that we're making our own decisions. However, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, all men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. All living beings are tied by ropes of illusion called the modes of material nature, and the material nature is compared to a prison house. One may be bound with gold chain, sattvaguna, goodness, another by silver chain, rajoguna, passion, and the third by iron chain, tamaguna, ignorance. Guna means rope or chain. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help another bound, the rescuer must be liberated. The living entity, being conditioned, acts according to the mode of its nature it comes in contact with. According to the level of our conditioning, we seek happiness on the material platform. As a simple example, consider the three primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. By combining these three colors, one can produce the entire color spectrum and paint pictures which can arouse any emotion. Pots and pans do not usually inspire emotion, but, manipulated by an artist, paint appears to possess its own special potency to enchant the hearts. Similarly, the supreme artist has expertly designed the material world using unlimited color combinations of the modes of nature to attract us to a perverted reflection of the spiritual reality, and to keep us enticed with its false charm. Examples of three modes. Meet Dr. and Mrs. Bright with their two children who live in a small home just suitable to their needs in a peaceful country town. Dr. Bright is the local MD, a thoughtful, qualified man, respected for doing his job honestly and selflessly. His hobby is reading books of philosophy, poetry, and science. Mrs. Bright and the children farm and garden around the house and care for the family cow. The Brights are mildly prosperous people who give thanks to Supreme for the things that they have and take their spirituality as serious duty. By almost anyone's standards, they'd have to be considered exceptionally pious. They don't gamble, and for them intoxicants are strictly taboo. They don't smoke, and not to speak of liquor, they don't even drink coffee or tea. Dr. Bright has seen too many of his patients bring trouble to themselves through extramarital affairs, so he's always been faithful to his wife, and she too has always been faithful to him. The Brights decided long ago that killing animals is barbaric, so they never eat meat, fish, chicken, or even eggs. All in all, the Brights lead a clean, simple, and happy life. But the Brights are conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. They are attached to their harmonious world. Therefore, they are bound to the mode of goodness. The Smiths, by contrast, live in suburbia in a stylish home filled with modern conveniences. Each morning, Larry Smith gulps down breakfast in time to fight traffic to the office. There he sits all day dealing with different headaches, as he calls them. A hard job, but worth it, he figures, since it lets him afford the luxuries he enjoys and still have some money left over for the stock market and some rather shady business schemes he has going on the side. Money is the honey, Larry says. Gloria, his wife, wakes up in time to see that the two older children look decent and sends them off to school. She spends most of her day with the baby, the one we didn't expect, says Gloria. Either Gloria is in the house with the TV going, in the background with the other housewives and children, in the beauty salon, or shopping. On the weekends, the Smiths try to be spiritualists, but it's more or less a social affair, since in fact they generally disregard the guidelines of their scriptures. The family is typical of the mode of passion. Now, let's meet John Dole and Betty Grumble. They never got married, but they live together in a rundown apartment in New York City. Welfare checks cover part of the rent, and at the end of the month, John gets together the rest by peddling drugs. Spirituality, they both decided long ago, is something they want no part of. They spend their time sleeping, at least 10 or 12 hours a day, or else getting high on drugs, feasting on beer, and languishing in their apartment. For years, they've dreamed about starting a commune in Spain, or perhaps Madagascar or Nepal. Dole and Grumble have surrounded their lives with the mode of ignorance. Similarly, we can compare the qualities of different animals according to the modes of nature. The elephant represents mode of goodness. It eats only fresh vegetarian food, grass. It is a large, strong, and gentle animal. It has the intelligence to work well with humans. The tiger represents the mode of passion. It is fierce, restless, and aggressive by nature, and kills and eats flesh of other animals. The jackal represents the mode of ignorance. Rather than seek its own food, it eats whatever is left over after another animal has eaten. It tends to be fearful and lazy. Being a nocturnal animal, it shuns daylight. Beyond the three modes. Real happiness that can completely satisfy the self is experienced from the spiritual platform, beyond the three modes of nature. Hence, of the three modes, it is recommended to always be in the mode of goodness, as it provides a runway for the airplane of human body to transcend beyond the influence of material modes of nature. Freedom from these modes can only come by the grace of one who is already free, Krishna says in the Gita. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Such a person is on the platform called Vasudeva, or Shuddha Sattva, or pure goodness, beyond material nature, one with Krishna, not in personality, but in interest, in service and love, in this world, but not of it. Such a person is completely satisfied in the self, being situated in the original constitutional position of the spirit. One need not wait till one's death to become liberated, but can be liberated from the influence of the modes of nature even while living in the present material body. Thus, we can attain spiritual perfection simply by remembering our relationship with Supreme, or Supreme and acting in that relationship. We need not be disturbed by the modes of nature, since instead of putting our consciousness into material activities, we can transfer it into activities centered around Supreme, or Krishna. Such Supreme or Krishna-centered activities make up Bhakti Yoga. When we engage in the Bhakti Yoga system, we acquire the same spiritual qualities as Supreme or Krishna. We can become free from the material concept of life simply by performing Bhakti Yoga in the association of those who are aspiring to or have already transcended the modes. The most important process of Bhakti Yoga is to chant and meditate on the transcendental sound vibrations.
right? So you saw this particular picture. Uh, I know, Angelina, you are driving, so I won't ask you to look at it. Dhruv, uh, can you tell me what these pictures represent? What this picture represent?
Uh, it seems like some angels uh, trying to pick up, like trying to engage with people who have like some sort of disconnect in life.
Yeah, so see from the video, if you can just hint, it's a hint, right? The video was talking about some of the concept. So you can think from that. But anyway, as a part of our discussion, we will come back to it, okay? So, but what it represent, this is us, the human beings. And if you look into our life, this is a little, it requires little introspection. Uh, if you look into our life, many times it feels that doesn't matter what we are doing. It seems like it's somebody's just controlling it, right? The things are just happening. Let's say I'm in a zone. Everything I does, it just works. People would like to live in that zone, right? That I'm getting the result what I'm expecting. But then there's the other time. Doesn't matter what I do. Doesn't matter how hard I work. The result what I am looking, I don't get it. Everything seems to falter, right? It seems that there's some force, and that's the time introspection happens. Are there forces beyond me? And that's what this video was talking about, that there are different modes: mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. So those three ladies there, they represent mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Okay, and this is us. So we will have more discussion. This is a very if we understand this topic, this will really help us to deal with all the ups and downs in our life. All right, so we'll start with a quick icebreaker. Um, so the question is, if you can spend a week with any person now living in the world, who would you choose and why?
I'd probably say Sadhguru.
Sadhguru, you said? Okay.
Pretty cool.
And 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 uh, and why?
He's been an inspiration for me since a very long time. I like the topics he covers.
Nice. I like that actually. Well, if that's the case, if we're going to that, I would say the same thing because honestly, how else could I get mercy if I didn't get some kind of association, even if it's for like a minute? So a week would be like amazing. I like that.
And
Very interesting.
yeah, Angelina, would you be able to talk while driving?
Hopefully, hopefully I have enough service here. It's a zone where I might drop. So if I could spend a week with anybody, it would probably be the first person that came to my mind was one of the living prophets. Thomas S. Monson is a living prophet at the church that I follow. So I'd spend time with him just to sort of lighten my spirit a bit and focus on the things that truly matter from an internal perspective.
Nice. What
Very
about you,
good.
Deepak?
Yes, we are all talking about the people like the teachers, the people who are considered to be saint, right? You know, I would like to spend time uh, with the people who are very simple, like who live a very simple life and who are very happy. Somebody like a villagers um, who live with a very. If you look from outside, they are must be very poor, but when you meet them, they are one of the happiest person we see. Always, life is just fun for them, right? They take a very
Mhm.
different perspective. So those are the people I would like to live uh, and spend time and learn from them that how they have maintained that kind of a mindset um, and what makes them happy.
That's very true. I met so many people when I was in the army who were from villages in different areas of life, but the ones from the villages were like my favorite because the way that they were thinking and how they problem solved were completely different than anybody else. It's amazing. Learned so much from them.
Yep, yep. Thank you. So you are Bree, you would like to ask the question, or would you like me to ask the
I can do it.
questions? Yeah.
So the first question, I'm going to put it in the chat so then you can read it as well. All right. So describe the three modes of material nature. Explain the platform of Suddhasattva or pure goodness. And so in the video, it explained that there were three modes of material nature. Um, and so then they went further into the explanation of Suddhasattva or pure goodness. And so do you, Dhruv, I'm so sorry, you're the only one in the class right now. Do you remember these descriptions, or we can go through them too if you don't, but no pressure.
I really don't remember.
Yeah,
Really.
no worries. And so in the picture that we had just seen on the screen, we saw the three, what you thought they looked like angels, right? And they were with the puppet strings and controlling the human beings on the bottom. And so if you look from left to right, the one in the gold would be considered the mode of goodness. The one in the red would be considered the mode of passion. And then the one at the end would be considered the mode of ignorance. And so these three modes of material nature are what predominantly control us human beings. And so the best way to describe that would be, I mean, the best way would be the comparison between, oh, you know, this human's just following their human instinct of survival, and they could do anything with that because they're not really thinking at this point. They're just going off of like you know, their primal instinct, which could be anything, right? So if you're in a situation and you're going off of your primal instinct or like the mode of ignorance, you could do anything that could be relevant to violence. It could be something that, is not going to do so good to yourself nor to people that you or any living entity that you are encountering. Um, and that's based off of, the activities that you are doing, the people that you're associating with, the things that you accept to hear, eat, all those things, right? Intoxicants were one of those things that they say, oh, if this person who was doing intoxicants, they were doing things that they were more attracted to that were not so good. So that's the mode of nature. And as you can see, the one that's in the purple, it's trying to fight the other one. So that's the mode of nature. The mode of passion are for those who are ambitious and have some desire. And with that desire, it could be something, the most wild explanation, like I want to be the world's richest man, or I want to be, I want to go and climb Mount Everest. The mode of passion, that tailors your activities, usually your activities that bring you more sensual sense gratification or pleasure. I want to do these things so I can earn more money so then I can go and party more. Or I want to do these things so that I can eat what I want or have as many girlfriends or boyfriends that's how people in the mode of passion are controlled. And then those who are in the mode of goodness, those are the ones who are more compelled to living a simple life. They don't engage in things that are intoxicant or illicit. And so they are prone to associating with those that are the same, also prone to doing things that do not get them in a lot of trouble. They also have the behaviors of, or the tendencies, I should say, they have the tendencies to do things that are charitable and not for profit. So that means that they're doing something for somebody, but they're not doing it for anything that has to do with themselves. Whereas somebody who's in the mode of passion, they might do some charity, but they're doing it because they want to be seen as a charitable person or this or that, right? There's something that they're going to get out of it. So those three modes of nature, people are constantly being controlled by them. And it's not, like, oh, I'm controlled by just the mode of ignorance, and that is it. You're constantly fighting. These modes of nature are constantly fighting to control you in all the activities that you do. So does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
And so then on the platform of Sudha Sattva or pure goodness, right? So if we're looking at the mode of goodness, the platform of Sudha Sattva, pure goodness, goes even higher than the modes of nature. It goes above the modes of nature. And so Sudha Sattva are for those who they understand that because all the modes of nature, they keep you attached to material life. They do. And it could be for anything. Mode of goodness could be, I have a very nice family. I have a very nice house. I have a very nice job. I have all these very nice things and I'm going to do charities and I just love my life and blah, blah, blah. They do things that are very good, but there's still something in there for them. It's just on a more good nature, and then it just kind of degrades down, right? And so those who are on the platform of pure goodness mean that they are participating in activities that are not, there's no gain on their own. They're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for others. And so pure goodness means to not do for yourself. And it's above those modes of nature. So that tends to be people who there's not something that they gain for doing the activities. They're doing the activities for a greater cause than that. And in that picture, you don't see the full person over the three ladies, but the greater cause is above those three modes of nature. So that is Sutta Sattva, is when you're at that point where you're connected to more of the divinity and you're, only doing activities for that. So let's see. I think there's two more questions. Welcome back, Angelique. So the second one is, this is a scenario. So I'm going to put this in here just so in case you want to read, but I'll read for you as well. So don't worry if you can't read it. All right. So a cap seller, tired of a long distance walk, kept his basket aside and slept off under the shade of a tree that was full of a group of mischievous monkeys. After a while, he got up from his sleep and found his basket was totally empty. The monkeys had picked up a cap and, wearing it on their heads, had soon climbed up the tree. So discuss and compare the reaction to this situation by a person in the mode of goodness, a person in the mode of passion or a person in the mode of ignorance. And so for this one, I won't make you all, and you weren't in here for the explanation, Angeline, but if you heard the video, you can also participate. Why don't we pick one of the three modes? And if you can discuss and compare the reactions to the situation from one of the modes, then we can all have some turn in this. And so, which mode would you all like to do? Oh, okay. I'll see you soon. So Angeline, since you weren't in this conversation prior for the explanations of the three modes of nature, did you get the gist of the three modes of nature?
I think mostly, but maybe ignorance I'm a little less clear on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So the mode of ignorance, they're all three. So all three of the modes are constantly circling around and controlling the human beings, right? In my explanation, I say that you could be in the mode of goodness, but then you come across some situation that could put you in the mode of passion or the ignorance, right? So just because you are predominantly controlled by one mode of nature doesn't mean that that's the only mode of nature that you have, as a preempt to my explanation to the mode of ignorance. So the mode of ignorance is where people have the tendency to accept things that are not good for your consciousness. And that could be the association in which you keep, right? That could be the music that you listen to or the news that you listen to. It could be the food that you eat, the tendency to take intoxicants or do illicit things, violence or nonviolence, right? And so for the mode of ignorance, these people have the tendency to be okay with things that are, say, violent to other not human, but other living entities. They tend to be okay with participating in illicit activities, whether that is like gambling and cheating people or illicit sex or intoxicants, and abusing in that way. And by doing these things, right, the activities that they find themselves in cause them to go farther and farther into like trouble. It could be material trouble, spiritual trouble, all these things, right? So if you are constantly engaging in things that are bad for you, then you can't expect something good to happen. You're constantly associating with people who are okay with cheating people, then even though you might not initially think it's okay, you become numb to it, and then you might not think it's so bad after a while. You start to see the person side of the picture, like, oh, and I'll give you an example, um, like, oh, these people are so rich, so it's okay to steal from them because it's okay. Like, because you understand that your friend who is participating in these things, you have some type of feeling for them, even though they're participating in ignorant things. And that's a weird explanation, but that's how the mode of ignorance works. It just puts you in a situation where these activities constantly degrade your consciousness, and it gets you into trouble. Does that answer
Okay,
your?
Yeah, definitely. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And with this situation, the man who fell asleep under the tree and he found the monkeys, with the basket, right? And he climbs up the tree. I'll use the mode of ignorance as to how that man could react to these monkeys, right? So and if you're in the mode of ignorance and that's happening to you, you're more likely to show the tendencies of anger, right? And so he's going to be very frustrated and he's going to be really wanting to get that, his possessions back. So he might take a rock and he might throw the rock at the monkeys, right? Give me this back, give me this back. He might, attack the monkeys, he might climb the tree and like do something that could injure or hurt the monkeys, who are naturally just doing what monkeys do, right? He might hunt the monkeys. He might say, oh, they caused this on themselves. And so now I have my dinner and they have my basket, I have my dinner, and he hunts the monkeys. So somebody in the mode of ignorance could participates in those activities as a result of the monkeys taking the contents of the basket. So in turn, somebody in the mode of passion or somebody in the mode of goodness, how would they react in that situation? You could choose either one and take a guess.
Yeah, I mean, my summation of acting in a mode of goodness would be something along the lines of accepting what happened and taking it as, oh, I made the choice to lay here knowing full well that something like this could happen. I didn't, put my basket away or keep it, safe. And so it's on me. And just accepting that it happened and moving on, or thinking, maybe they'll get tired of messing with my things and they'll let them be and I'll get them back eventually or something along those lines.
Exactly. And so somebody in the mode of goodness would see this as more of like, they might even see it as like a joke, funny, ha, they took this, I fell asleep and now here it is and goodbye hat, they're more prone to not reacting in a way that is extremely volatile, right? Just like you explained. Because they have, engaged themselves in activities that do not cause these feelings and, just these inclinations that people have that they can't control. There are some people who they don't want to be that way. That's why we say that people are controlled by it, because it's not their choice. They don't want to be that way when they're in, situations that could get them in trouble or, make them feel a certain type of way. But then also, when you are engaged in things that are not so volatile to yourself, then you tend to feel like you're grounded more and that you have more, you know, um, internal strength to control your actions and your emotions, and you consider other living entities, right?
Right.
And
You
so,
may even look at that as a learning opportunity, right? Well,
mhm,
now I know I can't do that. And so I'll act differently next time.
mhm.
And see the good in that lesson as opposed to thinking of it as a mishap or something that it wasn't good.
Exactly. And so that's exactly how it is. And so somebody who is prone to that tendency would be, you could tell, they have some kind of internal way and strength about them that would cause them to make these better decisions. For all, these living entities, they consider other living entities, which is very nice. Are you back, Dhruv?
Yeah.
Did you want to try for the mode of passion?
Um.
There's
So
no wrong
what
answer.
do I have to basically? Do I have to like give an example?
So if you were in the situation where you fell asleep and then these monkeys stole your cap and they're in the tree, right? And you're controlled by the mode of passion, you can give, your thoughts on how you think somebody in the mode of passion would react to it. You don't have to go so deep into it or anything. No, unless you want to, but no right or wrong answer. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah. So someone in that situation would probably react in an aggressive way,
Mhm.
or like yeah.
Yeah, because in the mode of passion, right? You have these, you have these desires. So you're probably in, your own mind, right? And you're like, ah, this is mine. So you might feel frustrated, right? You might not feel frustrated enough to hurt the monkey, but you might feel frustrated enough to drive home or walk home angry. Ah, the monkeys took my things.. I want my cat back. Um, so very good. So the last question that we
So
have.
yeah, so if you can add
Yeah.
a little bit here. So as Bree was talking about, there can be different answer. There is no means there can be different answer, and both can be right answer. So one thing mode of goodness, people are very intelligent, right? They, in this example, somebody who is in the mode of goodness can understand how the monkey behaves, and without hurting them, using their nature, try to get his things back, right? For example, what would you do if you understand the monkey and if you want to get your things back? What can you do?
Trade it for something else.
So do you know monkey likes some fruits, some stuff, right? Uh, if you go to in India, there is a city called Vrindavan, and it's full of monkeys. And if you're not careful, they will take your cap or your glasses, even your wallet, your purse, lady's purse, they can take. And the way you know how the local people get it, they don't they don't hurt the monkey. What they do, they will give the monkey something. So either they will give the banana, or these monkeys in Vrindavan, I don't know why, but they like that fruity drink, and they give the fruity, and then the monkey takes, and while it's taking, then if the monkey will drop the other thing, right? Or because they're happy, they will just throw it just like that. So the mode of goodness people, they can be very intelligent. They can be very intelligent, and through that intelligence, they can get the work done without hurting, right? So the summary is, mode of goodness people, they understand the situation, and they, based on that, they work for the higher cause. In this case, the higher cause is, okay, I want to get my stuff back, yet at the same time, I don't want to hurt the monkey, right? And I'm not going to be cursing them, right? Not shouting at them, not unnecessarily getting angry at them. So that's a mode of goodness, right? While the mode of passion, the discussion was that many in this case, there can be tendency to hurt somebody, uh, being very abusive, right? Um, or very aggressive, as you're talking about. So that could be in the mode of passion. And the mode of ignorance, one thing which I have seen does happen in the mode of ignorance also, people don't know what to do. And it's a mix of feeling. They will start throwing tantrum. They may start even crying. I don't know why I did that. I'm like they will be blasting themselves. They will be blasting all the situation. They will be blasting the monkey in this case, and they might be crying and not doing anything and not taking any action. So ignorance can even reflect like that, right? It can be, so there can be many behaviors, and that can also be one of the behavior of uh, ignorance. So on the same topic, I will ask the one other situational question, and let's see if you can attempt to answer that quickly. And we are running short on time, so we'll just do it quickly. So let's assume a scenario where there's a movie theater, and you are inside the movie theater, and suddenly there is a fire. There's a fire on the door, at the door of the movie theater. People are rushing, trying to get out of it. What would a person who is in the different modes may act like while they are inside the movie theater and trying to get out? We can start with any mode you feel comfortable with. Is the scenario clear?
Yeah, I assume that someone in the mode of passion, in the throw of passion, you might like be screaming and yelling and causing chaos, and maybe like shoving your way around, and kind of forcing your way to where you're trying to get, with a lack of awareness of how you're affecting anybody else around you, really self-motivated.
Very good, very good. Yeah, in this case, basically your goal, if I am in the mode of passion, my goal is just to get out by hook or by crook. I may climb on people's head, I can push them or do whatever, and just I want to get out of there, right? So I'm definitely mode of passion because I'm totally self-centered. I want to protect myself. right? Yes. And what do you think a person in the mode of ignorance might do?
They could freeze,
Yeah,
not know where to go,
yeah,
not,
yeah.
having realized where the other exits are, or just sort of get into that fight or flight
Hmm.
mode and
Yeah,
just kind of freeze.
wonderful,
It could
wonderful,
it could have
wonderful.
started the fire.
Yeah. and
By
and what
accident,
about
of
the
course. They didn't know what they were doing. They were intoxicated and they wanted to smoke a cigarette and they accidentally started the fire.
and what about the person who is in the mode of goodness? How they will act?
Probably try to help people, calm them down and like, oh, go this way. Make sure that, the children go first. Make sure that this, they
Yeah,
in
yeah,
head.
absolutely. The mode of person who's mode of goodness, I told, right? They're intelligent people. They will calmly think, okay, what can be done in this situation? How can I save the most number of people? Right? That's what they are not thinking about saving themselves, um, but they're thinking how I can save the most number of people. Right? So that's how the person in mode of goodness may act. So so basically now because you have answered these situation, I'm pretty sure that you understand the modes, right? That was the intent of this question. Thank you. Yes, Bri, we can ask the next
The
final
last
question.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good scenario. I mean, from what I'm getting, the more um the better the mode is, right? The more sober you are in your activities, the more clear-headed you are when it comes to um, how you engage yourself in
That's that's very
to.
true. Actually, what I've seen through my own experience and meeting other people, the people typically who are in a mode of goodness, their consciousness is very clear, right?
Mhm.
And they can make the very good decisions, thinking of all the facets, which is not self-centered. So, and that's a very good sign that these people are in the mode of goodness, right? And in fact, to look at your managers, some of the managers, they are very aggressive at work. Just get the work done. I don't know by hook and crook. By some managers, they show a very good, like a servant leadership quality, right? And they they tend to be living like more on the mode of goodness. Of course, you have to have a passion, but they also have that mode of goodness which propel them. Okay, how we can get the work done still without burning the bridges, right? And taking care of the employees. So those are the good managers.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the mark of a true leader is someone who takes on all of the obligation, right? So I had
Mhm.
a manager at the Bureau of Land Management years ago who said, no matter what happens, no matter what you do, I have your back and it's on me. I will take responsibility, right, with the
Yep.
upper
Yeah,
management or
yeah,
whomever it may be.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I have
yeah.
your back fully. Whatever you
Yes,
do is on is me. I'm the doer, right? And so you're protected in that way. So taking on
yes,
everyone else's.
yes, yes,
And they don't
absolutely.
freak out.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And Bri, I'm thinking about the soldiers, army, right? The
Oh yeah,
people like who
yeah.
really,
Mhm.
right? They take care of their comrade and they still save the people even at the cost of
Mhm.
their lives, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
selfless.
yeah, yeah,
That's one of the um what is it, the main mission, the selfless service is one of that
yeah,
for the
yeah, yeah.
army. But and to get to that point too, to your point, when you're going through trainings, you cannot be engaged in any of these activities that could cause you to not have a sober mind.
Right.
Um, and because of that, then you put yourself in a consciousness where you are clear-headed in situations that are even scary to somebody who, you know, is just not used to, situations. So yeah, it's very true. The last question is, how can we become free from the influence of the three modes of nature, even in this present body? And so the first question we were talking about Sutta Sattva or pure goodness. And so I think that is very relevant to this question on how could we become free from the influence of the three modes of nature? And so, Angeline, in the video, if you didn't hear, they talked a lot about the control of the three modes of nature and how these are what cause people to have inclinations in the activities that they're doing, based on their own intelligence, based on how, what they're doing. But it also explains that you can overcome the control of the three modes of nature as well. Even in this body, you can transcend the modes of the three nature, and you don't have to be controlled by that. And so, how do you think that that is possible? Do you think that's possible? Do you think that you can overcome the three modes of nature? And if you do, how can you?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it seems like the standard answer, right, is finding your authentic self, connecting to your authentic self. How do you do that? Through meditation. How do you do that? By connecting with the divine and forsaking all of our sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Our tendency to be self-driven, right? To be selfless instead of selfish, and yeah, all of those things.
Yeah. I mean, Dhruv, did you want to add on before I say anything?
I think Dhruv is having his
You might be
dinner.
okay. And so, no worries. And so, that's true. To know yourself, right, that means that you have to have a clear mind. And a lot of the example that Deepak was giving us shows, the better your mode of nature. So the better your activities, the more pure your activities are, the more intelligence you get, right? And so in our previous classes also, we have to do things in order for our mind to give us good intelligence. And so in order for us to know ourselves, we have to have a sober enough mind to be able to do that. So your point was amazing because I think that a lot of the reason why we make our decisions to do these activities is because we don't know ourselves. I think that's the issue with a lot of the people in the material world in general. We find ourselves in trouble because we don't know who we are. And in order for us to become more pure so that we can start to remember who we are, because we've always been somebody. So we just have to remember who we are. We have to make sure that we abstain from activities that could cause us to contaminate our knowledge more, right? But even with that, so you can get to, because it sounds like to me like the mode of goodness is like the topmost mode, right? Like we want to be in the mode of goodness, even though all three of the modes fight to control. You can transcend all three of those modes. And what you said, Angeline, was very good because you're saying, well, in order for us, to understand ourselves or to know ourselves, we need to, abstain from these things. But in reality, if you come to know yourself truly, then you will transcend the three modes of nature. Because if you know yourself in full knowledge, then you won't be working or controlled by those three modes of nature anymore. It's just a matter of remembering who you are. And there are activities in order to help remember who you are and sober up, your activities so that you can remember who you are too. So what you said was amazing and very, very true and relevant.
Also, the sunset is incredible right now. The clouds are very like fluffy but tight grained, if that makes sense. And it's like a really deep, brilliant orange, and there's pinks, and oh, it's really it's a
Right.
fantastic time to be driving home.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Right.
talking about self-realization at that too, right?
Yes.
It's like a
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
So how do we get to self-realization? Do you have any idea of how do we get to self-realization? How do we take ourselves away from the activities that are driven by these three modes? And these activities are all material, right? So there's some kind of desire that you have, whether you're doing something for other people for charity, it makes you feel good. You have these nice houses, you have this nice life. You want to be rich, you want to be a manager, or you're just getting into trouble, right? All these activities, if you really decide, I want to know myself in true knowledge, and I don't want to be entangled in so many of these activities that prevents me from going inside and understanding myself. What kind of activities do you think you should do? Where do you even start, right? Anybody
To
have an
me,
idea?
you
Yeah.
you strip away the pretense and you go back to what the natural man did. And for me, that's leaving the built environment,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and really grounding myself in nature and simply just being, right? Forest bathing is one of those beautiful things where you can forget the material world and be in the world but not of the world. That's a common phrase that I've been taught over the years, to live
Mm-hmm.
in the world but not be of the world. And so you seek the things that bring pure joy, whether that's prayer, chanting, reading, journaling, meditating in any form, feeling, like I'll go out in the woods and I'll just pet the grass as I walk along, and I'll feel all the leaves, and I'll smell anything that has a sniff to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll
Mm-hmm.
taste the things that I know won't kill me, and just simply connect and just simply be in the beauty, in this great design, right? And
Mm-hmm.
for me, that is ultimately a beautiful way to completely strip away the pretense of where I'm supposed to be or who I'm supposed to be and the mask that I wear all the time, and just simply be myself authentically.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm. That's really good. It sounds really relaxing, actually. I need to do that. I'm not gonna like to go out and
yeah, we all do.
you know, that's really, it's good that you are saying that, because you're putting yourself in an environment where you feel safe enough to be able to enjoy all of these things, right? And that's all good. It sounds all in the mode of goodness, but I still think that's the mode of goodness, because what I've learned in these videos is that it's all about the mind and the intelligence. And the mind and the intelligence are what are going to eliminate your false ego. And once you eliminate your false ego, is when you realize who you are. And so you have to engage your mind in something and concentrate in something in order to achieve in a scientific way who you are, in addition to what you're saying. You know what I mean? You go out and do exactly what you're doing, right? But in
Mhm.
addition, there's one piece that's missing, which is, in my experience, meditation, to concentrate your mind on what you should be, connecting with, which is the divinity inside yourself, um, which will give you realizations of who you are. So if you can concentrate your mind on that in a safe space that you feel, because everybody has their own individuality, you know what I mean? So your
Yeah.
individuality is going to guide you to what you're liking, which sounds very beautiful, by the way. Um, but if you concentrate your mind with the connection to the divine, and your desire, because your intelligence is going to say that you're wanting to understand who you are, your desire will help you continue to concentrate on that. You will be able to realize who you are. not instantly, but gradually you will come to that platform of understanding who you really are. I know there are other things in here. Did you want to say anything, Deepak? I'm gonna jump around.
Yeah, no, I think that I'm just thinking that we are over time. So this
Oh
is a
yes.
very deep topic. We can talk a lot more, but I would just leave with some of the questions and let the audience reflect on it, and we can talk next week. So the question which I would ask, like, and again, these are very practical questions. One is, how do we become, first of all, do we have all the three modes within us, or do we have one mode within us? That's the question, right? And what about the other people? um, uh, the second question
Mm.
is, let's say if somebody, as Bree was talking about, right, about the Suddha Sattva, which is transcending the three modes. um, is there a sequence we can follow which will allow us to transcend, or we can just jump and go to that, right? Is there like a practical way we can get there, right? So let's say if I'm a kind of person who's a party person, right? Who just love to party till midnight, drink, eat, be merry, then come sleep 10 hours, then wake up, work 12 hours at office, then again it repeats. If I'm that kind of a person, um, how can I transcend these modes? Because I think, you know, that work hard, play hard, that's the life. That's the kind of person I am, right? So how can I transcend from there where I am? How can I transcend these three modes? So that's the question we can talk next time, right? And before we end, Bree is running a movie night on Friday. Soul, right, Bree? It's a Soul, correct?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
soul. So yeah.
Yes, it's a wonderful movie. She will be running, and it's just not a plain just movie. Right? Of course, we will be watching movie, and it will be fun to watch it together. This will be at the Bhakti Studio. Yet there will be discussions, what we can learn, which will be even more enlightening, right? So please join. I know, Angelina, you are traveling, but Dhruv, if you are there and if you can make it, come for the program for Friday, and then on Saturday we have the regular our Soul Fest, and on Sunday we are having the Ayurvedic cooking in the afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. So 3 days of programs, in-person program at Bhakti Studio this week. All right. So see you next week, and next week another fantastic concept, the law of karma
It
and
is. It's really
infallible
amazing.
justice. It's so amazing. Like it answers so many things which um, other books may not even explain, like how we can understand why some people are born rich, why some people are poor, why some people are very intelligent. So those things we will be able to answer once we understand these concepts. All right.
Drive safely,
Awesome.
travel safely, have fun.
Thanks. All right.
Yes.
Thanks. Good to talk to you
Bye,
all.
You
Angelina and
too.
Dhruv. I
Bye
hope you're
Have a
bye.
good
having
day,
a
Drew.
good dinner. So see you.